I did not realize that AniNews had this video out, but there was a part 2 to it, right? We got Emilia versus Regulus, the Archbishop of Greed's twisted nature. ReZero Season 3 content still here, baby.
Every Archbishop of Sin abides by their own twisted rules and logic.
Yep.
Regulus is certainly no different, but the way he exhibits greed and applies it to his own life is made most clear during this single interaction with Emilia.
Greed. Well, at a base level, you could think that he's very greedy. That's why he has many wives. But I think it's not that simple. I think it has to do with like the ownership ability, right? The power dynamic, the ownership. The fact that like no one is allowed to laugh and they can no longer smile in order to satisfy his rights, right? That's all very greedy. His fundamental existence, his rights are more important than anything else in the world because he's the most greediest person.
There was a lot to his character we unfortunately didn't get to see, including a fundamental part of his motivation that the anime even misdirected us from. Whereas here he directly states obsession over appearance to be the most shallow form of a relationship, the novel declares that as the only thing he truly values in a relationship. The way he chooses who to love is based on one's face and their face alone. Knowing this makes everything he does make a lot more sense, and it helps us to understand his own twisted logic a whole lot better.
He doesn't really seem to have any principles though, right? Because he constantly just like contradicted himself during the finale. I thought he had some convictions, but nah, he's a loose man, which is funny because he called Emilia a wench, a foul whore, for simply speaking Subaru's name in front of him. But I think that Regulus is a very loose man with no convictions that just adheres to whatever is most convenient to him at that time.
So that's what I want to talk about here, along with the start of the counterattack from Subaru and Reinhardt. Let's get started.
Before we get started, but first, Succubi? Are we gonna get t-shirt ad?
The first skipped scene
No ad.
actually comes from before the wedding. It involves Emilia getting ready with some of the other wives, doing her hair in a way far more complex than she ever would. It was a routine that reminded her of the times she spent with Puck. Emilia felt their efforts were wasted on her, but such a comment only made the other wives sigh. Reason being that all they cared about was not upsetting Regulus. They didn't say much the entire time they were with her, but this was the one warning they made sure to express. Now, though all their faces were for the most part expressionless, a faint bit of distress could be seen on 184. After hearing how Emilia would face the wedding in her own way, she couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy about the whole thing. That said, she did choose not to tell Regulus what
Regulus doesn't have the least morals. No, you gotta define morals. Like, these are principles I'm talking about. How he said, like, he only cares about face, and then he said that's so shallow, right? That has nothing to do with morals. That has to do with what you believe in. Do you have any convictions? Do you have any principles that you live by? He doesn't.
Her intentions were, so that, along with her presence, was enough to support Emilia's resolve here. This brings us now to the wedding, starting with the question of why she was 79.
Fortuna.
We already got the answer in the anime, but what we didn't get was the pride Regulus had for having made such a decision.
Pride mentioned.
You see, he was truly shocked by the way he was able to keep such a commitment. The way he believed in his feeling that someone else would come and take the seat of 79.
He was so proud about that. Oh man, he had that spot reserved for the longest time. Yeah, it's like 100+ years in the making, right? And the twisted thing is, 79 position, even if it was Fortuna, little baby Emilia was right there beside her.
Well, that was a level of confidence and trust that not just anyone could have.
Wow.
It was some self-praise that directly clashed with the question Emilia would ask after. Why was there an open seat to begin with? Well, while the original 79 did pass the most important hurdle of having an appearance he considered ideal, in the end he found her to be unsuitable.
Why?
That said, in order to remember her...
The actions of it? It's also funny because if we assume that Fortuna is serious, and you know how Regulus does not get along with Sirius at all? Crazy, huh? How his wife candidate is now someone that he just calls ugly. And it's true in the way he sees beauty. Sirius is all fucked up, right? I'm assuming that she's all burnt up due to the frost burns that happened when Emilia froze everything at the end of this, flashback, right? If we're gonna go with the line of thinking that Fortuna is serious, but kind of ironic that he saved the position for Fortuna here, and if we're supposed to believe that Fortuna is serious, it's funny how that turned out.
That said, in order to remember her out of some sense of lingering attachment, Regulus felt it only right to leave her seat open. This in turn led to him meeting Emilia, which was a development Regulus liked to consider fate. As for Emilia,
Was it fate?
this whole turn of events was something that just felt off. Something about Regulus's reasoning brought forth an invisible unease that was slowly coming into view, one she couldn't quite figure out yet. When Emilia went on to ask even more questions next, the whole prospect was something Regulus was surprisingly quite open to. As a couple about to become man and wife, he fully agreed there were things that could only be discussed before their marriage.
Okay, such
Points
as?
of interest that needed to be discussed as individuals, since as this was a journey they were about to embark on together, it was of absolute importance to be prepared for it. Regulus didn't want Emilia walking into something she wasn't ready for, and that same courtesy extended back to Regulus.
How considerate. What a nice guy. It's not as if we have any fucking choice.
That's why he fully agreed the two should share their thoughts. It was to prepare for their future as husband and wife, but
Like that shit should be done when you lead up to a marriage. like I know he doesn't care about a healthy relationship, but goddamn, he's like, oh yeah, before we seal the deal and become man and woman, right? Husband and wife forever. So what are you about again? It's like you skip the entire phase of learning about the person. She has no clue what Emilia's about.
more importantly, set their expectations as individuals. Of course, Regulus went first and explained the promises he forced every wife to abide by, but
No
the
smiling,
main
no laughing.
requirement every wife must have before that is an alluring face he considers to be beautiful. It's the sole reason he chose Emilia and all his other wives. As for why that is, well, that's something that Regulus has thought about for quite some time now.
He doesn't
It's
know?
a personal choice that all comes back to the twisted logic that defines every single action he takes.
I wonder if he cares about body type. Cause like, I don't want to be. Listen. I'm not a misogynist. I am not fat phobic. I am none of those things. Maybe a little bit. No, anyways. What if Emilia's face is really pretty, but she was fat as fuck? What would Regulus think then? Because he cares about the face. And yeah, if you get really obese, like your face will be impacted, but some people, their face isn't. The fat deposits, differently everywhere, right? What do you think would happen? He clearly does not have anyone, out of shape in his army of wives, though, right? They're all very skinny and has a good face, but it's not just the face that he cares about, right? Also, yeah, the Natsuki Schwartz, bro. If Garfield, Otto, and Subaru all were cross-dressing like they did in the side story and showed up on Regulus, who would he pick? Probably Otto.
So, in a world where most people simply do as they please, it's those who fall into love then fall out of it that truly disgust Regulus. To him, they're what he would consider utterly worthless. The way they presumably loved each other then found incompatibilities later, well, that was to him truly and utterly selfish.
Yes.
Whether habits, hobbies, schedules, or even food preferences,
none of that matters.
Every excuse one might give to fall out of love was both trash and selfish. Reason being that if they truly loved each other the way life partners were supposed to, then there should be no excuse to drift apart from them ever.
No, it's such a twisted logic, right? Life partners may do that. Life partners, right? Because here's the thing. When you're first you meet a girl and everything is nice and dandy, right? It's a honeymoon phase. You love everything about each other because this is just the beginning of something new. But 3 months into it, you start to realize little flaws of each other. And at that point, if you can figure out that like all these flaws are something that I'll embrace and I'll be there for you, and maybe we can work together to work around it or overcome it, that's when true love starts to happen. And that point, you can call each other life partners because you're willing to stick around, and even if things are hard and things are shitty, you know that the other side would do back to you. Therefore, you stick around and you want to help each other. There's a lot of different conditions that gets built up to get to that life partner stage. Regulus immediately just takes so on and says, "Yep, life partner, I'm just gonna take you. I'm so greedy. You're just gonna bend to everything that I want." And notice that it's also one-sided, right? It's also very one-sided because this is a two-way street. A relationship is a two-way street. What Regulus expects from Emilia, he should expect the same of Emilia, right? Emilia could also then act the same way about Regulus? No, absolutely not, because this is not equal. This is not, a two-way street. It's a very one-way street where everything he wants, you must absolutely abide by. Why? Because we're life partners, right?
This brings into question the excuse of aesthetics, because that was an excuse Regulus believed to be the most foolish reason to drift apart. It's actually the sole reason behind why he chooses his own wives the way he does. So long as they had a face that he could love, then there was no doubt in his mind his love for them would never fade.
Yeah, never fade until they get old and ugly. Because here's the thing. You pick a partner based on their looks, and listen, looks are very important. The first thing you see are looks, right? Appearance is probably one of the most important things, but when it comes to really long-lasting love, those things of vanity will go away as you age. And at that point, what do you have? It's about the close bond that you share, right? What's within. Regulus don't give a fuck about that. He just, this is the, what's it called? What's that actor? Not William Dafoe. No. DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio, remember? He gets a girlfriend. It's like a 6 to 7 year cycle, 18 to 25 only, right? Once you get over 25, too old. I'm out.
It didn't matter the type of person they were, because the face was the only thing he loved about them. As long
Like anime figurines.
as that remained, then his love for them would be eternal. So, whether they're a housekeeper or serial killer, a bad cook, or someone trying to destroy the world,
Doesn't matter.
Regulus truly did not care.
He gives no fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ, my throat's fucked. He just really don't care about anything, huh? He only cares about the appearance. He has no, like, he don't care who you are, what you are. As long as you're a virgin and you look good, that's it. You're my anime figurine that I'll forever collect. But the moment that you turn into something else that's not the anime figurine, I kill you. I get a new one.
Emilia couldn't tell how many of his wives fell into these categories, but the fact he was pointing at them as he spoke made it clear he wasn't really lying about it. He was firm when it came to the stance that he would love anyone without distinction. It was at its core love that was impartial, unquestioning, and non-discriminatory. Why was it then that he wanted his wives not to smile? Well, to make any other expression other than the one Regulus determined to be the one he loved, that was something he just couldn't accept. Any and all changes of expression risked the potential of turning the ones he loved ugly, so rather than put up with a thought so unbearable, he instead saved the world from the net loss of turning her face ugly and forbid the possibility of it even happening.
It's just so ridiculous. That part really caught up me off guard. He's like, you cannot smile again. No laughing. Because you will break the immersion, the idealized image of the anime figurine in my head if you start laughing. I'm not going to take that risk.
That's the reason behind why
No. I think that Regulus is the reflection, specifically about that otakus, right? The ones that has no understanding of what a woman really is. They don't even see them as a human being. They see them as an object of desire. Similar to what Subaru could have been in the past, right? That's why there's so many parallels with Subaru and Regulus, where Regulus seems to be a version of Subaru that could exist if he was given all these OP powers and had no time to really reflect on any of his shortcomings and just didn't correct himself. He is just absolute trash. He is, like, again, the most stereotypical otaku, just... And he was supposed to look like that too, you know? Regulus was not supposed to look this sick. He was supposed to look like the average, like, the most average person ever. And if he looked more like imagine Regulus looked like fucking RL Rudius before, like, Mushoku Tensei Isekai happened. Imagine that version as Regulus, bro. That would be very good, I would say. It would truly show, it would match his personality so much better, you know? The character design would just basically just be perfect for what he is. Regulus looks like a prince, you know? He just looks so sick. His looks, his outfits, right? It just looks like he can get away with anything because he's good looking, right? There's that pretty privilege, but Nagatsuki Tape did want him to look the most average person possible, but the author just made him dripped out.
why no one...
Yeah, if he was average, people would have definitely hated him way more. Absolutely. Right? Sorry. And it's a similar thing to, like, in Mushoku Tensei, where, you know, Rudius before, he was just pig, right? He looked like a fucking pig. Then he got reincarnated as, like, a European fucking model. And I think he does get away with a lot more because pretty privilege matters, right? The better looking you are, the more people are willing to just turn a blind eye. Because that's just lust at display. Everyone will just simp. Not everybody, but it's a lot easier to get away with these things if you're better looking. If he looked like the typical fucking isekai trash before they get reincarnated, people would hate him so much more.
Can smile, laugh, cry, get mad, rejoice, or anything. This directly contradicted his actions with 184, since if Emilia hadn't pulled her out of the way during his outburst here, then Regulus would have killed a person he says he still loved. At least according to his logic anyway.
No logic, bro. He's just contradictions.
This was what Regulus simply called an unfortunate misunderstanding because his actions had nothing to do with a change in love for her. All it was a lack of attention which went to upset him. Him trying to kill her was simply him forcing her to take responsibility.
Well, he's not a perfect person, you know? Maybe we can play some defense for Regulus and say everybody makes mistakes.
Emilia believed such a reason to be fickle, but Regulus immediately clapped back by saying it wasn't. Reason being that the fact he still loved her was 100% true. It was a fact that would remain even if she had died. Just like how loved ones who have passed live on in your heart, the love he felt for 184 would have remained all the same.
Would he have really remembered 184 after, though?
Everlasting within him for all eternity.
No way, I don't believe that. There's no way he remembers every fucking one of his number's wives that's dead. If he does, I would respect that. He actually has like a perfect memory of every wife that he's personally killed as well and taken out by their number ID and like a one memorable memory of each one of them. I thought that he just forgets and moves on.
So, such was the logic Regulus operated by.
Well, keeping count through a number is easy, but to know which each number meant to him, I think that's crazy. And he did say like, he would, what's the word? Show no bias. The reason that they're all numbers and they've been stripped of their names is that he can show equal love to everybody.
With the way it was built head to toe with a sole focus on him, not a single person was ever even considered within it. It was the result of a lifetime dedicated to refining it. A creation birthed from flawless logic, incomplete by nature.
Yeah, flawless logic.
This made it clear that there was no way of getting through to him, so as much as Emilia wanted to believe she could talk things out, the way Regulus stood behind his rationality made it impossible to refute it.
You cannot rationally, convince someone into a position that they didn't logically get themselves into. Everyone has their own twisted perceptions on what they believe is real, and they will do their own mental gymnastics. They have their own different definitions, semantics of what their ideals and philosophies are. And if you try to contradict them, if you try to give me examples, they don't care. But at the very least, Regulus is kind of easier to talk to than some people like, I don't know, Betty the Goose, right? That's what I was always saying, like, just talk to the guy, see what happens. Well, we talked. Got to know that he's pretty twisted, Regulus, I mean, but he's not just fucking crashing out immediately. Hello, Buffer?
So, when Regulus proceeded to ask if Emilia had a problem with him, all he wanted was for her to spend a little...
He's just misunderstood? And you know what? I could agree with that. I think that if Regulus didn't have this type of power and authority, and this level of clout, if he was given a second chance to reflect on his actions, and if he truly was sorry, yeah, I think he's a misunderstood person that could be better. But like, I don't want to call him a victim of anything. Like, he set out to do, he's a shitty person who was given all these crazy powers, and now he gets to just be an even shittier person. Is he misunderstood? Yes. But I think it's beyond redemption at this point. There's no redemption for this guy.
Effort putting herself into his shoes. Since he had put all this effort into being considerate of her, he felt it only natural that the same courtesy be extended to him. It was, after all, the most basic of basics when dealing with people. To neglect that was a clear sign she didn't believe him to be worthy of the effort, so that by extension was what made it an infringement of his rights.
Oh yeah.
An act we know is very much unforgivable. Now, when Emilia went to ask why he refers to his wives by number next, this was what Regulus considered to be a fixation on a form of address.
Address?
Since we know he
I thought that it had to do with, treating everyone equally.
hates obsessing over anything that isn't form of appearance, that was just another superficial part of a relationship he felt was unnecessary.
No names needed.
It was proof of one's lack of confidence to continue loving someone without all that extra stuff. This was something Regulus prided himself in not being bothered by, once again affirming just how pure and unquestioning his own love is.
He is pure. But like, there's different types of pure, you know? He's fucking crazy pure.
He truly believed it was his way of showing how he didn't like to put himself on a pedestal. Now, that's actually the core point I believe the anime misdirects us from, since it's not that he considers obsession over appearance shallow, it's more so he considers everything else to be. So, the director
Everything else but appearance is shallow to him is a very interesting logic. Why?
appearance shallow, it's more so he considers everything else to be. So, the direct opposite message is being emphasized in the novels. The only thing Regulus cares about is their face, and that's the main thing keeping his love for them going.
Okay.
This in turn makes all his rules make a lot more sense, and it
Based on that, the subs really did him dirty then. Right? Appearances, it's the most shallow form of relationship there is. Dude, the subtitles really fucked up Regulus' characterization, because now it doesn't sound like he's a convictionless, you know, hypocrite. The whole thing was everything else is shallow, and the only thing that matters is the aesthetics. I don't know. Based on what AniNews is saying here, it sounds like Regulus got done dirty, but I also didn't hear any Twitter threads. I didn't see anybody really, you know, complaining like in season 3, episode 1 of how Subaru was saying, only I'm suffering, and the Crunchyroll subs fucked that up, and he meant to say everyone else is suffering, right? But if there's no outcry like that, I guess it's not a big deal?
keeping his love for them going. This in turn makes all his rules make a lot more sense, and it defines his actions a whole lot better. Of course, Emilia would go on to deny this in her own way, bringing us to her speech, which was pretty much faithful all the way to the end. The one thing I do want to make clear though is that Emilia had no intent on giving up here. She was actually preparing herself for—
That's right. The anime made her kind of done dirty, right? It looked like she was a damsel in distress here, and then Subaru showed up. She was actually getting ready.
a counterattack and even getting ready for whatever battle was about to come next. It was right as they were about to clash though that's when the door would hit Regulus. The thing is, the impact didn't
Imagine if that hit 184 instead, bro. Like, holy shit, the position, because like we had no clue. We were outside the church. We don't have vision. We just kicked the door. Imagine if the door landed on 184 Emilia or instead.
didn't send him flying like how we saw in the anime. He had instead brushed it aside like it was a bug. This is more in line with how his authority works, since as far as we know, physical attacks shouldn't affect him.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's constant examples. I've analyzed how his powers work so much in season 2 too, right? Where he can get hit. If he's not aware, he can't react in time. He has terrible fucking battle combat intuition too. In a proper fight without any powers or authorities, Subaru could beat Regulus. Regulus got just manhandled by the invisible hands, right? Back in season 2, because he didn't know where it was coming for the first time. And then he had auto guard up. The difference is he doesn't have the auto guard up like Accelerator in Toru. He has to have the presence of mind to put that shit up. But another thing also is that he doesn't seem to take any fucking damage, right? Constantly, his neck gets twisted, gets reverted. What the hell is that?
Works since, as far as we know, physical attacks shouldn't affect him. So it's only a minor difference in which the door doesn't make contact, but what we got instead was so much more satisfying.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for Season 3 Part 1.
Wah,
I
wah.
hope you enjoyed learning a bit more about Regulus, and if you did, then leave a like and let me know in the comments.
Yes, sir.
The whole playlist for the previous episodes are down below, and if you want to watch Danmachi videos, then you can watch those too. That's the series.
And that's it. That's it, bro. That's the last AniNews cut content for ReZero until February, unless maybe he'll have like a, you know how he did a, before season 3 drop, he did a whole season 1 and season 2 kind of like recap cut content kind of summaries. I would like to have something like that for like part 1 of the first half of the, you know, the attack arc that we're having right now. But please go give Mr. AniNews a like on the video. Here's a link to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.